Good morning, friends. Today we are going to see the paper English novel and part second aspects of novel. Before this part, we had already learned about rise and development of the novel. Now we are going to learn about aspects of novel. What are the aspects of novel or elements of the novel? There are five important elements of short story or novel. The five key elements that make up a short story are characters, which is the important part of the novel, protagonist or antagonist, another setting. After that, conflict, theme, and plot. We can see one by one what is the meaning of characters, setting, conflict, theme, and plot. See, what is the meaning of character in novel? A character is a person or sometimes an animal who takes part in the action of a short story or other literary work. A characters and how we get to know them through the author's physical description of them, through their actions, through their words, through their inner thoughts or feelings, through what other characters say and think about them. It is about the character where we learn is a person or sometimes an animal who takes part in the action of a short story. Short stories action happen due to that character. Next is setting. What is the setting in the novel or short story? Setting is the time and place that a story occurs. If we see or uh, if we see any example of a novel or story or any drama, we can see how the setting is make the difference for the short story. Authors often use descriptions of landscape, scenery, buildings, seasons, or weather to provide a strong sense of setting. Sorry. Here we can learn how if you can take example of movie also. The setting is particular bungalow, particular garden, or particular city. So here is a and we can take example of the novel like or the adaptation of a novel Alice in Wonderland. How the Wonderland is the setting of that particular movie or particular novel. Next, theme. What is the meaning of theme? Theme is the meaning behind events and characters, actions in a story. The theme is a central idea, message, or purpose in a short story. A theme can be expressed as a general statement about people or life. It is not plot summary, but it can be either directly or indirectly stated by the author, most likely indirectly. Theme. So, events. What is the theme? Meaning is that behind theme is the meaning behind events and characters' actions in a story. What is the central idea? If we can take example of any particular idea uh, of the idea behind that particular movie or a particular novel, we can take example of Mario Puzo's Godfather. What is the central idea of that particular novel? The central idea is that how the person become a criminal, and though he is a criminal, how he is a godfather. This is called theme or what kind of message novel writer want to give to the readers. What is the meaning of conflict? Conflict is any of the problems that a character encounters in a story. The conflict is struggle between two people or things in a short story. The main character is on one side of the main conflict. Conflicts can be external, internal. External means conflict with others and with nature. Internal conflict within themselves. The main characters may struggle against another important character, against the forces of nature, against society, against something inside himself or herself, feelings, emotions, and illness. Next is plot. Plot is a pattern of events that develop from the interactions between characters. A plot is a series of events and character actions that relate to the central conflict. There are five elements of plot: exposition, rising action, climax, falling action, and conclusion. So, how we are learning about it? That is, if we can take example of story of Cinderella, we come to know how there is exposition of the character of Cinderella. What is the rising action? Rising action, how Cinderella meet to that prince, and what is the climax of that story? How the prince search for Cinderella. And what is the falling action? He come to know who is Cinderella, and conclusion is they get married at the end of the story, or united in the last part of the story. That's why these are the elements of plot and how it is developed throughout the novel. Plot diagram, that is five elements, how it goes. See, first introduction, then rising action, then climax, then falling action, and resolution. Resolutions means end of the particular novel. Next, exposition. We can see one by one the start or introduction of the story, the background information that the reader must have in order to understand the story. There is This is where characters and setting are introduced. How, if we again take example of Cinderella, how Cinderella is introduced as a poor girl and working her household works due to her stepmother. Next part, rising action. All of the events that take place leading up to the climax. This is where the reader is introduced to the conflict. How Cinderella is working in her house and her stepmother is very cruel, and at the same time prince is in search of beautiful princess, or how he is in search of a good girl. Next, climax, the most exciting part of the story, the turning point in the story. Here the story is turned in a different direction toward the conclusion. See, again in Cinderella we can see how Cinderella uh, is with that particular shoe, and prince search out who is that particular girl with the one shoe, and the turning point, prince is very happy with Cinderella. And falling action, the immediate reaction to the climax, all the actions that occur after the climax and before the conclusion of the story. Resolution, the conclusion of the plot. Loose ends are tied up. There might not be a clear resolution. This is called a cliffhanger ending. In resolution, we can see how a prince decide to get married with Cinderella. Here we can see one by one the beginning, middle, and end, and at the same time, exposition of the character, rising action, after that, climax, and after that, falling action, and the conclusion of the novel or the short story. Here I had given one simple example of Cinderella because you will understand how the plot developed throughout the novel and how what are the concepts of the uh, element elements concepts in the elements of the novel, that is from the character, plot, setting, and the conclusion of the novel. Here we end for aspects of novel. In next lecture we will see the novel Old Man and the Sea, or little bit about again of the elements of the novel. Till then, thank you.